morning. Okay, you guys. This is the second half of that session I talked about earlier this week. This is a very unique session. I don't think I've ever posted anything like this, so this might be very helpful to help you understand how to get through the difficulty of, you know, there's two parts to the eating problem, right? Some of you have the urge to eat when there's this terrible fear and anxiety, excuse me, fear and anxiety. The other spectrum of you have that same fear and anxiety around being overweight. So it's the spectrum of the eating disorders and how that fear and anxiety manifests. So for some of you at different times, this fear of death shows up when you're not allowed to eat. And for other of you, this fear of death shows up when you are not allowed to be thin, right? Also, or when you feel that you are getting fatter. So each of you individually may have this dark fear that is driving how you impulsively are with food, impulsively are with dieting. And the goal is that you go and you allow that fear, anxiety, panic, all of the energy backing why you're impulsively trying to escape, and whatever your means of escaping is, whether it's micromanaging food, eating, organizing, cleaning, gambling, you know, any type of addiction is driven by the impulsiveness to get away from emotions that feel horrible, often like death. So in this part of the session, we actually are going into those emotions rather than impulsively running away. So this client was wanting to jump right back into another round of HCG and was having a very, very difficult time sitting in the willingness to be okay with her body as it is. She would get there through our conversations and relax, but then all of a sudden these emotions, these waves of emotions would come back when she would feel loss, when she put herself back in that victim frame of mind. Boo-hoo, poor me, my life is going to be forever sucky if I have to be this fat. And that impulse to jump into a solution would come back really intensely. It's amazing, actually, when I go back in my own experience and think about the impulsiveness. It was very intense enough that took over my life. The impulsiveness to exercise, to purge, to micromanage my food, and then also to binge kind of took over my entire life. That's what I call the pain. You're running away from pain and you're willing to suffer because the pain feels unbearable or like it's going to kill you. So impulsively jumping into another round of the HCG protocol is like super common with the clients I work with and why people are driven to work with me. Because for some reason, the idea is that the protocol becomes your rescuer. You know, the thinnerness that comes from the protocol, the actual control around food that the protocol provides will be your rescuer, rescue you from this dark space, dark energy. And in this session, I am actually directing this client to allow that dark space, that dark energy to absorb into her space and her beingness, which is what I had to do. So as you guys are watching, listening to this YouTube video, it's important to hear her do it, which is so heartbreaking because I'm assuming you all can have a lot of compassion for what she's feeling. But in order for it to make an impact, you're going to have to do it yourself, right? Instead of running away from those, what I call like dark energy that feels like it's going to kill you, absorb it in, invite it in. And the only way to do that is through complete and total humility. So you'll notice by the end of this YouTube, when we're going through this, I'm telling her to go limp. What I mean by going limp is totally submitting yourself as if you are willing to die. The humility that this takes to, and not self victimization, I have to do this, that position is not going to go anywhere. So the goal is that you are willing to surrender, to admit failure, to completely surrender to these emotions that you've been running away from, even if they crush you into sand and you blow away in the wind. So to go through this can be very transformational. So it's like an hour and 20 some minutes. Enjoy. Real, as if you're actually looking at this as if it's real. That this isn't some special mind thing that Robin's doing with me. No, this is real, what we're talking about. This is the only way you could go without impulsiveness. So you either go into the impulse, right? Or you go the direction I'm heading with you, which is permanence. I will never fix this again. I don't want to have to fix this again. I shouldn't have to go back into that cage. So, because I don't want the misery. I shouldn't have to live miserably for some fantasy that doesn't exist anyways. So what would my life be like? Go in and open your mind. Open it. Force that angry mind to stomach this for 2 seconds. Force the mind to actually listen to the heart versus the mind controlling the heart. Reverse this for 2 seconds and actually think about this. Lisa, I need you to feel this as if this is real. Open your eyes. Go with me. It needs to be, you need to swallow it and you need to breathe it into your lungs. What if you end up being this fat for the rest of your life? Okay? What's the first feeling you would feel? Just be honest. Worthless. And I want you to, no, don't run away from that. I need you to stay in the worthlessness. If this is permanent. First feeling is worthless. Sometimes people feel sad. What happens with you when you sit with that worthlessness? Let's feel it. I want you to bring it in and I want you to breathe in the worthlessness. Don't run away from it. I want you to look at it. I want you to feel it in your cells, feel it in your lungs. Breathe do you feel the worthlessness right now? I want you to breathe it into your lungs now. Like, invite it in. I have a feeling you've been running away from this feeling, avoiding it, trying to not look at it, trying not to see it. And let's invite it in. So let's invite in, it feels like I'm worthless. And why don't we ask it a question? Why is it here? Why is that worthlessness here? What is it that makes you feel worthless? To me, it was fat. Any form of fat created worthlessness.
Yeah.
Is that for you too?
Oh, for sure. For certain.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have, so here's what I want you to do next. If this fat is permanent, okay, because we're going to make it permanent. We're not running away. It's not going to be negotiated anymore. Okay, so if this fat is permanent, are you still worthless?
No.
Now I need you to speak from like, as if this is real. This needs to be real. This isn't going to work if you don't make it real, okay? If this body fat truly, I need you to breathe this reality in. If you're going to be this fat permanently for the rest of your life, you're going to be the mother of the bride in this fatness. You're going to be, vacationing in this fatness. You're going to be, hiking and going to the beach, and you're going to be, playing tennis in this body with this fatness permanently. Does that mean that you are still worthless forever? If this fat is permanent, what happens to the worthlessness?
It's gone. It just has to go.
Well, it doesn't make sense, right? Should any person should any person, okay, with a life carry the feeling and the burden of worthlessness because they have body fat? Should any life, any human being with life given to them by a body, carry the burden of worthlessness because they are overweight or obese? Should their life be felt, so I want you to breathe in that worthlessness. I want you to feel it for a second. And I want you to recognize that I want you to feel with it that you don't care. It can be here and you're not going to do anything about it. Like, you don't care about worthlessness. Even if it's there. So if you want to watch the entire session, this is an epic session where we actually undo a lot of the beliefs that create the obsessive compulsive issues that she was experiencing for decades. This woman's like 50. She's been doing this since she was in her teens. You're going to have to join the Patreon group. The whole entire session is posted there now, along with all the other sessions I've been posting since, I think, last August, September. So if you would like to work with me, there is a link to my website below. There's a link to the Patreon account below. Join. Let me know if you need help. And thanks for watching.